Chapter 34, Diary in Shadow. I can't describe the feeling of seeing the Guardian erupt behind her. Each of the ancient machines contains the energy necessary to bring down a village, and even though all of that energy was building up beneath her, ready to explode, Zelda didn't seem concerned at all. In the moment I hadn't been able to tell, but looking back I can recall it more clearly. She was frustrated that she had broken it. So much danger to herself, and she remained singularly focused on the path she had set down for herself. Though I'm ashamed to admit it, I froze, looking up at her. Something in her posture, in her expression, rooted me to the spot. I should have grabbed hold of her and gotten us both away from that place, but instead it was she who moved to protect me. The Princess of Hyrule used her body to shield mine, tackling me to the ground, blocking my face with her shoulder. I used my shield to protect the back of her head, but the rain of debris still fell. I could hear it falling on her back, feel the minuscule impacts through her bow. Her hair was in my face. I remember that with particular clarity. It was like a golden veil that had entrapped the light of the sun. This me. I have to stop doing this. I have to write this down. She got to her feet and apologized to me, over and over, and I don't remember what I said, but I don't think it could have measured up to the moment. Maybe I didn't say anything. She was so radiant in the light of the day, so sure, so strong. When she talked about the future, I understood why our people serve her. I understand now. Rather, I'll never forget. She offered her hand and pulled me to my feet, and I will write this part. For days I've tried harder and harder to look my lady directly in her eyes, but I'm arrested by the green blue and can't keep up eye contact. My color rises every time she addresses me. I want distance between us, to respect her for the enormity of who she is and what she represents. But there's something else, too. I feel weak around her, as if all the blood is rushing to my head. My heart won't stop pounding. She's seen me fight. There are Yiga hiding in the shadows, waiting for us, but nothing they can do make me so nervous as she does. When she grabbed my hand, I think I understood then, looking up at her, feeling her strength as she pulled me to my feet, the smile on her face, the light caught in her hair. It wasn't just respect. It wasn't just fear. It wasn't just pity. I can't write down what it was, what it is. If I write it down, then it will be true. Riju shoved the diary underneath one of her pillows, buried her face in another, and screamed at the top of her lungs. She kicked against her mattress with her heels, beating out a staccato rhythm as the sand seal plushes looked on in quiet non-judgment. She couldn't take it. She couldn't take it. She was going to lose her mind. She had to fight the urge to run in circles around her bed, shrieking for the entire city to hear, or to climb up the water tower and jump up and down and shout at the sky. It was so much. She had to stop. Breathe, she told herself, and took a long, patient breath through her nose. She counted out the seconds it took to inhale, to fill herself completely with air until her lungs could hold no more. Riju held that breath for long moments, centering herself. Then she held the pillow over her face and screamed again. Is it that good? Bully Air's voice cut through her reverie like a bomb arrow going off. Riju went very still. Then, slowly and deliberately, she removed the pillow from her face and sat up in bed. Bully Air stood in the doorway to Riju's bedroom, resplendent in the uniform of her station, wide awake even at this absurdly early hour. Good morning, Bully Air. Bully Air said nothing. She gave no sign of what she was thinking. Please excuse me. I was having a nightmare. Oh. Nightmare. Yes. A frightening one, though the details are growing foggier. You've done me a great kindness by waking me from it. The two of them stared at each other. Sounds of market stalls being set up drifted from the city square. Riju sighed. All right, yes, it's that good. Bulier shook her head, scowling. You do a disservice to yourself and to that girl's confidence by reading her diary, Riju. The use of her name made Riju relax, marginally, if Bulier used Chief Riju. In private then it was as a stand-in for scolding her. Yes, but it is beneath the dignity of the chief of the Gerudo. Ah, yes, there it was, the severity she'd been expecting. Never mind that such displays will frighten the guards. You should not be doing such a thing. In answer, Riju got up, retrieved the diary from underneath her pillow, flipped to the page she had just finished reading, and approached Bulier. She held it out with both hands. Bulier didn't look at the book, she just looked at Riju, her disapproval more and more evident with every passing second. Read this page. Just one page. She gestured with the book. Bulier finally looked at the diary, though her eyes darted back to Riju almost immediately. Riju could see the scales tilting back and forth in her attendant's head. Bulier genuinely did think this was beneath Riju's dignity, but pushing the point ran the risk of the request turning into an order. Bulier had been Riju's caretaker for some time now, and any conflict where they might actually butt heads threatened to undermine their entire relationship. Bulier sighed through her nose, and with her right hand took the book from Riju. With her left she reached into a pocket on her belt and drew forth a pair of gold-rimmed spectacles, which she unfolded and set on her nose. With one last disapproving look, the greatest warrior in Gerudo Town turned the fullness of her attention to the diary of the Shaker girl. Riju watched Bulier's face very, very carefully. It took the older woman a few moments to anchor herself. The page started mid-sentence, and then contextualized what was being said. Then she read, and she read, and she read. By the end of the page, Bulier's mouth had formed a small, scandalized circle, as if she was trying to whistle by inhaling. Her eyebrows had risen to her hairline. She had to fight the urge to snatch the book out of Bulier's hands. That's some encoding, isn't it? Instead of answering, Bulier closed the book, put away her spectacles, and handed the diary back to Riju. Only once Riju had taken the book firmly back and handed her guardian respond. This cannot interfere with your duties. It won't. I'll only read it between audiences. Another scowl. After your scheduled meetings. Of course. Strictly an afternoon indulgence. Except Patricia isn't an especially demanding performer, is she? This time Bulier's sigh was much more open. No, I suppose she isn't. Though she is probably hungry. You had best hurry, before you fall behind schedule. Riju didn't need to be told twice. She wrapped the diary in a plain leather cover, then bolted from the room and down the stairs, not caring how much her haste might startle the guards. Oh, Patricia's yard would make for perfect reading. The calamity brought down its axe on the spot where Link had been half a heartbeat before. The flooring had long since been reduced to powder, now the earth beneath it split, a shudder running throughout the entire chamber from the impact of Ganon's weapon. Ganon's eyes traced Link as he dodged. Link saw that it seemed better able to follow him than it had been before, however many hours or days they'd been fighting. He shifted his grip on the Master Sword, and the Calamity's burning eyes focused on his fingers. It had overextended. It had enough time to consider that, as he swung the Master Sword directly toward its cheek. Its forearm was in the way. The Master Sword bit into Ganon's flesh, roared with a sound like thunder, and burned away at the monster's body. The follow-through on the stroke tore an enormous gash out of the limb, leaving the almost bone exposed to the open air, but the important thing was that he had meant to cleave Ganon's skull in half. It had blocked him. It was staring at him even now, locking eyes with his. It's getting fast, he thought. Ganon pulled back and reared to its full height, and Link struck again, the tip of the Master Sword shivering through the skin above its kneecap, not through the joint itself. It's getting much faster. Malice and purple fire filled the spaces where Link had torn Ganon's flesh, and its wounds were fully closed as it raised its arms into the air. Its diaphragm was completely exposed, the long line of its stomach thrust out, waiting to be cut. Whatever Ganon was doing, it had left itself defenseless. "This is a trap." Link feinted, taking a half step as if to rush in and gut his opponent. 2 axes of burning purple light exploded from Ganon's hands, and it brought the left smashing down into the spot where Link would have been standing if he'd actually charged. Then the left was gone, and Link leaped to the side, and the right-hand axe obliterated where he'd been standing a moment before. A rain of blows followed, Ganon swinging axes that would have cloven guardians in half at the speed of a drummer. Link answered with the Master Sword, throwing the whole of his body into deflecting blows or else turning them aside. He felt the rhythm of Ganon's movements, adjusted his own to match. Through the pain, past the stiffness of his limbs, beyond his exhaustion, his body did answer to the rhythm, and he danced between and around Ganon's blades. He did not have to think. The Master Sword was in his hand, and it flashed, turning aside Ganon's swords or biting at flesh. This rhythm had carried him through encounter exchanges, would carry him through until help came. Except that he swung, and Ganon's hand was not there. Except that he moved to parry, and instead he had to redirect a blow so that it crashed into the floor. Except that the rhythm was picking up, faster and faster, and with every swing Ganon grew surer. Link lunged, both hands on the hilt of the Master Sword. He thrust for Ganon's stomach. An axe flash, and the blade of the Master Sword skidded off of light and steel and malice. The force of the blow sent him careening, and he had to orient himself in the air in order to land safely. He sailed, and watched Ganon, and Ganon watched him, and in the depths of the maelstrom that passed for its face it was smiling. Link landed on his feet, the Master Sword held out in front of him. "It has taken a very long time," Ganon whispered, and the wall shook. They began to circle one another, drawing slowly closer. "It has taken so very, very long, but I have the measure of you." The earth shook beneath its hooves, and it held one of its axes with the point aimed at Link, warding him off with a weapon several times his size. He did not answer. His eyes were not on his opponent, they were on its arms. "You fight like no one I have ever met, mortal or otherwise. Now, finally, it doesn't matter." Ganon and Link both stopped walking, both sank into offensive stances, Ganon leading with both axes, Link crouching with the Master Sword held back, ready to thrust. "I have the measure of you. Your advantage is gone." A field of fire winked into life behind Ganon, black and purple and red tongues licking at each other, at the air, at the ceiling. Shadows were flowing out of the Calamity's body, malice seeping from its every pore before flowing back into and joining the fires. Link did not move. He did not even look. He would not be distracted. Then the field of fire opened its eyes, and there were 2 of the Calamity in the room. Now Link looked. He watched as the field of fire twisted itself into the shape of a beast, standing on 2 tree-like legs ending in hooves. How the Calamity loved to have hooves, its massive shoulders twisting down into equally massive arms with hands that could have held a hylian between their fingers and crushed them like fruit. Its head was crowned with grey, twisting horns. It seemed to have a face, or at least fangs, but shadows clung to it, obscuring the details. With 2 sets of eyes the Calamity regarded the hero. Still he did not move. "It has split its strength. Why would it do that? Does it think that it can gain an advantage by attacking from 2 directions?" It never occurred to him that Ganon had done anything except split its strength. He never conceived of the possibility that there was no limit to the Calamity's power. The second body, unarmed, stepped away from the first, turned to face the wall, crossed its arms over its chest, as if watching something to the southwest. The first body lunged, swinging one axe in a broad, horizontal arc. Link leaped over the blow, the Master Sword singing in his hand, and slashed open the attacking hand. Malice exploded from the wound as flesh tried to seal itself, and Link ran up the length of the arm, cutting again, and again, and again. The Calamity bellowed in pain, losing its grip on its second axe, swinging for Link with its fist. He met the fist with the point of the Master Sword. The blade of Evil's Bane sank deep between the second and third knuckles of the Calamity's hand. There was a moment of quiet. The beast's hand exploded, spraying malice and fire in every direction. The calamity howled, pulling back, and Link turned toward the second body. The second beast still stared at nothing, seemingly unfazed by the pain of its other half. What is it waiting for? Will it try to escape? Link ducked, and the axe passed through the air over him, the heat of its blade scorching the wind in its passing. He turned and attacked again, was met by the second axe, deflected it, dodged around a third blow, lashed out at the offending arms. Stole another look at the second body, which still did not move. It doesn't matter. If Ganon tries to escape, I'll stop it. If it attacks, I'll fight them both. But until it acts, I can use this opportunity. I only have to fight it to a standstill. Conserve my strength. Be patient. He fell into the rhythm. The rhythm sped up, and so did he. She will be here soon. End of chapter.